Hello, I'm Rachel from Dwensa Garden in Ireland, and today it's time for a greenhouse tour. It's the beginning of June. The greenhouse is looking fabulous. So many flowers that I can't wait to share with you. So come on, let's go inside. Just before we go in, for those of you who are new to the channel, you are very welcome. And this is my greenhouse, which I absolutely love. It's an ornamental greenhouse in which I grow a variety of subtropical plants mostly, and desert plants, a lot of South African bulbs and things we are going to have a look at now. The greenhouse is all prepped for summer. The insulating bubble wrap has been removed. The heater has been removed and the plants have been arranged. So a bit of preening was done, taking off of dead leaves, etc., just to make sure that everything is looking tip top. And just to point out what's on the greenhouse step before we step inside, on the left we have the Robinson Crusoe palm, which I think is my favourite big plant at the moment. Absolutely love it. Behind it we have a fuchsia, and the fuchsia has buds already. So I'm really looking forward to these flowers again. Hopefully I'll have lots and lots this year. To the right we have my giant alocasia, which is still looking a bit pale. It hasn't really woken up yet after being kept dry over winter. And in front of that, just there, we have the Tibouchina, which is gearing up to show us its purple flowers. The soft leaves of the Tibouchina are so good looking even before the plant ever flowers. But the great thing about it is that when it does flower, it just keeps on going all summer. So I'm going to look forward to that. Now we're standing at the top of the greenhouse step, and I'll just give you a little bit of a pan before we go in. So on the right, lots and lots of pretty potted plants that are looking really great. At the back, some things that I guess a main thing down there is the epiphyllums, which are about to flower. And on the left, you may have noticed there are just two things planted in this greenhouse border, one of which is my Protea, my beautiful South African Protea, which is presenting me with one flower this year. Now, those of you who followed my channel will remember that I experimented this year with pruning the Protea after flowering, like they do in South Africa, and this usually produces two flushes of flowers. In my case, all it has done is reduce the number of flowers that I get at the normal time of year, which is now. So I won't be doing that again. All I can say is that the conditions my poor Protea is grown in here in Ireland are so very different from how they're grown in South Africa. But it was worth a try. And my Protea is right beside the table and chairs which I have in here. A great place to have breakfast. The only other plant currently in the greenhouse border is this giant Brugmansia, and this is sanguinea, which has flowered all winter. Fabulous thing. Now that orange flower there on the left doesn't belong to the Brugmansia. It's an epiphyllum in a hanging basket overhead, but this has just done so well, and it's so vigorous as well. It really loves being in the greenhouse border. I cut it back hard a couple of weeks ago, taking off I think about half of the wood and leaves on the plant, and I've done that for the last couple of years twice, removing half of the plant material twice a year. Can you believe? So vigorous, but I'm happy with it, and I'm happy how it's doing in here in the border. Now it's taking a bit of a rest at the moment, but I do see new growth there at the very top, which no doubt will soon translate into flowers, and we'll go again with those amazing orange trumpets. Okay, now let's have a look at this. So this is the fruit of the Brugmansia, and it is shaping up nicely. Now Obviously, it's not a fruit you can eat. All Brugmansia is very, very poisonous. But if it produces fruit, it's going to produce seeds. And this is of particular interest to those who are channel members because they will get free seeds. So here we are, just panning up the greenhouse border, which you can see is quite empty, until we came to this spot here. So I'm busy putting my own compost here in the border to enrich it. This is compost made from plant material in the garden, and I will tell you what I'm planning here at the end of the video. And for those who are new, this is Boo Boo, the greenhouse mascot. So there's not a whole lot going on just here at the end, except for my epiphyllums. It's turning out to be a bumper year for the epiphyllums, including ones that have never flowered before, like this King Midas, which is going to be a glorious gold colour. Although looking at it now, you'd think it was going to be orange. I did have some aphids on the buds, which I've treated, and hopefully they haven't damaged the flowers too much. At the top of this shelf here we have my Disa orchids, and these are the only orchids that are currently in the greenhouse because it's really quite warm in here. The others have gone to a cooler part of the garden, and I have 3 buds coming, which I guess isn't an amazing result for so many plants, but I'm hoping that some of them will push up flower spikes a bit later on. And Disa orchids are bog orchids from South Africa that need to sit in water, which is generally the opposite of what you'd expect from any orchid. So now we're looking at the staging, which is on the right as you come into the greenhouse, and you can see so many plants looking really great, and I love to keep this display tip top. It really brightens my day when I come in here and see something else that's in flower, like the little cactus down at the very end we're going to see. I keep watching for that to open fully every day. I really can't go through every single plant with you, so I'm just going to give you highlights, and one of which is this Pelargonium called Rimfire, which I absolutely love the colours of. It's just coming into flower, so I'm looking forward to that lots. And just panning down a little bit. Do shout out if there's anything in particular you want me to zoom in on. Okay, so I see some flowers there, and that is a little cactus which just flowers and flowers at this time of year. So this is called the peanut cactus, and we have 2 blooms at the moment. And if we look closely, you can see how many flowers there have been so far. So those kind of withered bits are flowers that have come and been and gone. And if we go down here, that little guy is an example of a bud that's yet to open. Moving down just a little bit more, and you can see additions to my Aloe collection dotted in here and there because, oh my goodness, did I mention I'm really mad about aloes at the moment? This one here is a very attractive Aloe Gasteraloe cross, Green Ice, a named variety, and it has baby pups around the pot, so I'm going to have to remove those very soon. Just below it we have the Aloe that was sent to me by Bumblebee, who has a channel mostly about orchids, but she's branching out now, and she has some gorgeous aloes. Well, she had this gorgeous aloe in particular, which I think I oohed and ahed at, and she sent me a baby division. And isn't it gorgeous? Look at all those reddish teeth along the edge of the leaves. I absolutely love it. Next door to it we have Pink Panther, which is a Kelly Griffin hybrid from the States, and this was my only named variety until quite recently, and another I picked up recently and haven't had a chance to repot yet. This is Cleopatra, the one you saw me unboxing at Christmas time. Still looking a little bit under the weather, but I'm hoping it'll get going now, what with the nice weather and everything. Aloe variegata on the left, or Gonialoe to be more precise, and an unnamed one on the right, which I got at Christmas as well. And moving along over to the right, we have, okay, there are a couple of beauties here in front of us, but that one right at the front is Echeveria, or Echeveria to pronounce it correctly, Compton Carousel. Now this is an absolute gem of an Echeveria that anyone who sees it, they immediately want it, but it is very, very hard to propagate. And I had a larger plant which I divided last year, and anyway, I have this one left, so it is good. I mean, at least I have one going forward. I do think it's making a pop down at the base, but that pop may be completely white, in which case it has no chlorophyll, so it can't be removed from the parent because it will just die. The plant is also going to flower, so I guess it's reasonably happy. And just to mention a few more nice Echeverias, the one on the right is Aphinus, which is a little cutie. It has very neat rosettes, which I really, really like. And I'm not quite sure whether I should divide them up or just let it cluster like this. I'll leave it cluster for a little bit and just see how that looks. And directly up from that, we have the Duchess of Nuremberg, who has flowered and flowered all winter for some bizarre reason, but she's really quite attractive, and she has a flower spike again here at the moment. There we go, and they all seem to have orange flowers, but that's okay because orange is actually my favorite color. Behind her we have Aeoniums looking fabulous as always. Aeoniums always look fabulous. And this one is a hybrid called Velour, which I've grown for many years. I find to be really, really prolific. I have so much of it. But it looks great in a pot. And I had taken to planting these outdoors in a bed, which I will still do this year. I have a lot of them left to be taken out. But I thought I'd keep some pots in the greenhouse because they really are great. And this one here is a cross with Simpsii, an Aeonium cross with Simpsii, which looks really good. But I put a lot of it in a little bowl over here, which I'll show you now. It looks amazing. And we had a look at this bowl when we briefly looked at the Brugmansia earlier on. And these were just cuttings that I lifted. When I lifted my Aeoniums from the ground last autumn, just stuck them in a bowl. And I wanted to just overwinter them, but you know, they look so great like that. I think I'll leave them in the bowl. And now we come across some rare and fabulous gems on my greenhouse shelving, which are these cute little flowers. Isn't that a complete and utter sweetie? These are Rhodoxis. And they're a cross between two South African bulbs, one of which is called Rhodohypoxis, but they make amazing pot plants that just flower and flower all summer long. And I'm not going to talk any more about this because I've made a separate video about Rhodoxis, which I will upload soon and link to at the very end of this. So if you want to know more about that, you really have to check this out. And beside the Rhodoxis, there on the left, we have a couple of things. We have a cute cactus in good flower over there, but we also have the Dudleya here in the middle, which is like a white shining beacon. Isn't that such a fantastic plant? And the thing about the plant is that it's coated in a kind of mealy or farina, which you can see here because it comes off to the finger, from America. A beautiful plant that makes a fantastic pot plant. And what you may also notice is that mine is in flower. Flowers are a bit insignificant, but it's a good sign and it means I will get seed. So yay, and hopefully for my members too who get the free seeds, yay. This Hatiora just to the side of it has been, I've had this for a very long time. It's been in flower for a good while, just going over now, but yes, still several flowers looking great. But check out this plant here at the back. I wonder, can you guess what it is? Because it's not what you might think. It does have this very, very large caudex. And a caudex, as we know, is a large succulent structure that holds water for the plant for times of drought, and a particular fascination of mine. And this one, let's have a look at the leaves and maybe you can guess what type of plant it is, because the fact that it's a succulent doesn't define the genus. And this, my dear friends, is a begonia. Begonia carolinifolia. So we're nearly at the end here. Just a few more things to mention, one of which is that large epiphyllum there on the right. And this one is called Hard to Believe, and it flowers in a variety, a rich orange with mottledness in there as well. Up until now, my favourite epiphyllum, but we'll see if that changes when King Midas flowers for the first time. And then down below it, we have a couple of little cuties. There's those Rhodoxis again. Don't forget to check out my other video. So this is an astrophytum. And if we look very closely, you can see that, well, it has at least 3 buds. There's the one that's obviously opening. But if you look close in at the neck, you can see how, well, we can see the one on the left. There's also one behind. So this is a first flowering for me. And every morning when I come out here to have breakfast in the greenhouse with my son, we have a look to see how it's progressing. So I think tomorrow it's going to be fully open. And if by chance I don't get this video edited by tomorrow and manage to take a little clip of it fully open, I'll just add that to the very end of the video because it's worth waiting for. And then finally, for the top of the shelf, just to the left of the astrophytum, we have a new plant for me, and this was given to me by my dear friend Liga, whose channel perhaps you will check out. I will link to it at the end, but she grows a variety of these kinds of plants. We have very similar tastes. We like succulents, she likes cacti. I'm not so mad about them. We love South African bulbs. She loves pelargoniums, and oh gosh, where do I go? I think we're a bad influence on each other. But when I was over at her recently, she gave me this little gem here. And it has the tiniest flowers that are flushed with pink. So green flushed with pink, little bells. It's a bulb. South African bulb, and I just love the pink fuzz that all of the spikes together give off. A real little cutie. A very welcome addition to my collection. Thank you, Liga. And a quick glance down below. The bottom shelf holds mostly succulents that aren't looking too hot. A few, I don't know, I guess more water loving things. And South African bulbs, mostly dormant ones. And then down on the floor we have my monsters, my big South African bulbs that are now too big and too heavy to to go onto the staging. And on the right there, this one here, the pregnant onion, it is going to flower. So this is called the pregnant onion because, as you can see there, she is really quite pregnant, and she produces bulbils from the surface of her skin, these ones here, and then they fall down and they produce new plants down below. And she has several spikes. Here are 2 of them. And this one here leaning out on over the paving is the most advanced. And I don't know if it's going to produce yellow or white flowers. Now don't tell me, I've purposefully not looked it up because I don't want the surprise spoiled. But yeah, I hope they're yellow. My Veltimia is busy producing seed, as you can see. And Hymanthus coccineus, which flowered last winter for the first time, is looking really good. It's thinking about going dormant, which you can see from the yellow leaf there on the right, which is fine because it's a winter growing plant. And I was successful with seed from it last year, so there are babies in the offing. And before we wrap up this video, we're back again to the most boring section of the greenhouse, which is this bare earth here on the left. But I have to share with you my exciting plans for what I'm going to do in here. And what I'm going to do is to plant it up permanently with tall, exotic plants that will give a big leafy feel to the greenhouse, shade out some of the sun coming in there from the south facing side, and just give me the feeling like I'm sitting in a in a tropical jungle somewhere. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's the plan anyway. So that is the next thing that I'm going to do. Imagine sitting here and drinking a cup of tea, and just where that Protea is, all along there, a mass of big, beautiful leaves, blocking out completely the sign of the signs of the compost heap. There, do you see that? That's the compost area, which is never pretty. So those are my plans. And that brings me to the end of this video greenhouse update, which I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you have food for thought. And if there's any plant you would have liked me to mention, then please mention below and I will include it in the next video update. In the meantime, have a great day, happy growing, and oh yeah, memberships. If you're interested in joining memberships, hit the join button. You'll see what you would get if you were to join up. You can leave any time. I won't take it amiss. Okay, that's all for now. Bye.